All right, guys, welcome back. This is Yankees Unloaded. I'm Jake Ellenbogen. He is Gary Sheffield Jr. And I promise you, we are way more mad than we appear about today. But also, to be fair, if you've ever, and I said this to my father because I watched the game with him, if you've watched any Yankee game this year, if you watched any, then you knew this was a loss. When they scored that run with Gleyber, I was like, they're losing. Like when they scored that moment, I was like, they're losing this game.
Did it not feel like the Field of Dreams game to you?
It was the Field of Dreams game 2.0. I was waiting for Tim Anderson to come out of the stands and be like, oh, I'm going to pinch hit. Like, here we go. I mean, it was that bad. I don't know how many times I've echoed this sentiment, but you are only as good as your closer. And the Yankees don't have a good closer right now. He has a 77% career success rate as a closer in save situations. That is Clay Holmes. I know Aaron Judge has gone to bat for him. I know Aaron Boone said he's our guy because, NPC Boone is at it again. I don't even know why we have pressers. They just say things that are just a politician, essentially. So you don't learn anything. But the point I'm getting at is Aaron Boone, not Aaron Boone, but Clay Holmes is the driving force that is keeping the Yankees away from potentially being up 5 games on the Orioles right now. And he's the one reason. Okay, there are quite a few reasons why the Yankees can't win the World Series. There are reasons why they can't. But I'll say the number one reason why I would ever believe, like if you told me, you came from the future and you're like, Jake, they lost the World Series. This is how. I'd say, oh, so number 35 is in the final shot. Guy hits a walk-off home run. Yep. I wouldn't be surprised. You can't, with that position, Gary, you cannot have a player who's inconsistent. You need consistency in the closer role. You need intimidation. You need missed bats. He's the opposite. He's not intimidating. Anyone would want to face him. He is not consistent at all. He has 10 blown saves this year, league high. Also, he's 3 away from tying Dave Righetti for the most since 1987. He had 13 blown saves. So not great.
He should get there.
Yeah, I mean, I think he will. And, the number one thing for me is that Clay Holmes just continues to trot out there. He continues to be put in these high leverage situations. Mm-hmm. This is 10 now blown saves. It's the most since Dave Righetti in 1987, which also, if you put the context clues together, means it's the most Clay Holmes has had. So this is in a contract year. I would argue this is currently his worst season because everyone's going to talk about, the first half and All-Star. Thank you for showing me why All-Stars don't actually matter. Stupid thing.
That point's being brought home beautifully.
It really is. It's a first half award. No idea why they even have it. But anyway, Clay Holmes is a problem. And he's not a problem. He is the problem because you can't close out any game. This was a 1-0 game against a mid-Detroit Tigers team, if we're being honest. A Tigers team that is calling up guys to see what they have for the future. They're not even thinking about winning ball games right now. And sure enough, despite the fact that the Yankees had great pitching from Marcus Stroman, they had great bullpen from guys like Luke Weaver and Tommy Kahnle. These guys came in. They didn't give up a run until the 9th inning, and that was when number 35 was in there. And he gave up the game. Obviously, as we know, he comes out next inning, 10th inning, only happening because Clay Holmes couldn't do his job correctly. We have Mark Leiter Jr. blow the game sky high. So, yeah, Gary,
Leiter Jr. has also been a nice pickup for us.
Yeah, just wicked.
And I hope that sarcasm comes through on the screen. I mean, it's the reason we're in 4K is so that does come across if you're watching. But yeah, to your point, Leiter's been a disappointment. This team's closer has been a disappointment. Clay Holmes hasn't been useful to this organization since May. Let's be very clear about that. His ERA was 0, actually, going through the first month of the season. But, like always, we have told people winning in May can be helpful for your organization because you can lose a division in May. Absolutely can happen. but you damn sure can't win a division in May. And so Clay Holmes, I thought like he absolutely wasn't part of the problem early on, but as is tradition, your closer should be, in theory, your most consistent guy who can miss bats. He's the guy who's the lifeline, someone that's reliable. And reliable is probably, if you look Clay Holmes up in Wikipedia or a dictionary somewhere, reliable would probably be somewhere in the antonym section. He's just nowhere to be found in the reliable category. Nothing is reliable about him. And the worst part about this is for a team that's a win now organization, Clay Holmes is like eating a raw piece of chicken at the end of dinner. It doesn't matter what you ate before that. You have diarrhea now. So congratulations. It's that bad. And so people can think that this is a championship team or you cannot. By all means, have your own opinion, have your own take. Jake and I have our own opinions on where this team can go, but let's be very clear about something. When you have a player that's going to pitch at the end of the game every single time there's a big situation and he closes, Jake, I believe it was 73% of games, that's not going to get it done. It's not consistent. It's not winning baseball. It's not reliable. How am I possibly going to call your name if 73% of the time you're going to do the job? That's not winning ball. And whether or not the Yankees, you can honestly try to figure out who to blame here. You can blame Aaron Boone for putting him in the situation, not calling someone else's number. Or how about this? How about you can put some blame on the general manager where you've got a team of guys your manager doesn't feel confident enough to go towards over Clay Holmes and the job he's done. Well, what does that say about your GM? He didn't go get a closer? How not? So, Jake, we're in a situation right now where the Yankees personnel-wise, I think we can all agree, they've got some guys who are more qualified on the roster currently, or hell, even in the system in the minor leagues. They can do a better job than Clay Holmes at the end of these games. They at the least can make the attempt to miss a bat. I don't want to hear about exit velocity. I don't want to hear about expected batting average. I want to hear about winning and losing. And so Clay Holmes right now, he's a part of losing. And it's unfortunate because at this point in the season, in mid-August, these games all count. They all matter. I want the guys who are going to help us win games that matter. Clay Holmes is not that guy.
No, I agree. And I mean, you know, his last 22 games, the Yankees are 12-10 in the last 22 games he's pitched. And he has a 4.98 ERA. The batting average against him is 284, which is, I mean, ridiculous.
284. That's like Manny Machado hits 284.
Yeah. So I mean, everybody is Manny Machado when they face him, essentially. He is allowing a 333 on base percentage against him, 432 slugging, a 765 OPS, which is above average. And the BIP, which is batting average with batted
on balls in play.
Balls in play, yes.
I knew that.
I've been using it a little bit more. I actually kind of like that, you know, analytic. I'm just not going to call it BAPIP. I don't care what you say. I'll just say BIP. I don't care how long it takes me.
I'll call it nerd alert.
Sounds stupid. Yeah, it's 390.
Excuse me?
390. Batting average with balls in play.
The ball. So you mean to tell me when a baseball player strikes the ball on Clay Holmes, 39% of the time it's for a hit?
Yeah, within the last 22 games. Yep.
So essentially, on balls in play, every hitter turns into Ty Cobb. Every guy is Wade Boggs. Prime Wade Boggs. That's what that number says. It's not a joke. These are real statistics and numbers. Go look up their George Brett. Go look up George Brett's best season of his entire career. He would have hit about 390.
It's just
are you serious right now?
This isn't acceptable. That's what I'm getting at. I hope people realize, like, we're gonna talk about the offense. Offense was not great today, only 6 hits. But I will say this: I didn't think the offense was that bad. I thought they definitely should have put some runs on the board.
Well, do you think that Austin Wells may have helped?
So you're getting to, you know me very well. So yeah, here's the deal. Okay, when we bitch, moan, and complain about the lineup, some people look at it, you know, people that are very casual may look at it like, oh, you're just complaining to complain. No, there's a method to our madness. For instance, you're giving Gleyber Torres the most at-bats of the day. That's what you're doing by making him the leadoff hitter. Jason Dominguez should have led off. I will say that right now. I don't care what he did today. He went 0 for 4, 3 strikeouts. Do not care. Jason Dominguez should have led off. I don't even care about hindsight being 2020, right? Dominguez should have led off, or Austin Wells should have led off, which then gets to the point. Trevino was in the lineup today, and Gary had asked me in the last episode, you guys probably watched, hey, what are the chances Trevino is in the lineup tomorrow? I said, I think he's going to be in the lineup tomorrow. I would not be shocked at all. And I assumed he was, because I know Boone now like the back of my hand. Boone is so predictable. He thinks he does.
The fact that Trevino played today, what does it tell you that the Yankees are enacting at catcher?
Well, now
it starts with a P.
A platoon.
A platoon.
Which is
what in God's beautiful green earth are we doing? Platooning a player who's hit as well as Austin Wells. And by the way, for those of you who are saying, well, Austin Wells, we need to keep him fresh. Austin Wells is a 25-year-old who, at the most, if he played the rest of the games this season, wouldn't play over 120 games. You mean to tell me a 25-year-old catcher can't deal with that in win now games? This is August. So if you guys think that it's fine to go win a wild card and then have a Yankees team just punch through the wild card to attempt to go win a World Series, and you're willing to put Austin Wells' health and just all of that at the forefront and jeopardize going through the wild card, why? This is Austin Wells. He's a good player in this league. He's deserving to be the starting catcher every single day. He's not good enough to just sit him down every other day and make sure, oh, for the love of God, he can't possibly deal with an injury. He's a catcher. They're going to get hurt. Remember I told you that, Jake?
Oh, yeah.
You can't baby these guys. You just can't. And given the fact that you've waited 15 years to win a World Series, not everything's going to be cookie cutter. You're not going to be able to come up with a scheduled program of we're going to sit him on Tuesday. On Wednesday, we're going to get our left fielder, get him off his legs for a day. Our center fielder, we're going to get... No. The teams that win the World Series are the teams that are most consistent, and they have expectations. How can you have expectations when we don't even know who's hitting fifth tomorrow? We don't know who's leading off tomorrow. We don't know who the Yankees are going to want to have at 8 or 9. We don't know if Peraza is going to play tomorrow. Everyone's just making all these guesses to what the Yankees are doing. And you want to know what makes it so frustrating is you can ask anyone in our comment section, who do you think is going to be in the lineup tomorrow? They're going to give you all types of different answers. You know why? Because you can't have expectations when it comes to this roster. The Yankees are not that bad. We're a really good team in this league. And by the way, we're a good team in this league for a league that's probably, you can describe it as down. This is a league right now where about 7 or 8 teams, we went through the list, Jake, can win the World Series, and none of which are dominant, like scary teams to play. They're just not. Houston's not scary this year. We're not scary this year. Baltimore's not scary this year. None of these teams. They can win the division, and that's something to be proud of. But let's be clear. You should be able to look at a contender and tell me who their 1 through 5 in their order is. Tell me who's going to be hitting 6th or 7th. You could do that for the 04 Yankees. You could do that for the 2009 Yankees. I could tell you who's going to be in left field or right field for those teams. Who's going to be playing? We had Jason Dominguez, who's our 3rd best outfielder in the entire organization. We used the 26th or the 27th man, whatever the stupid rule is. We used it on Jason Dominguez, called him up, told the entire fan base and the player himself, he's going to be called up. He's going to be called down no matter what. We're going to send him down to AAA. Okay. And that's the rule. Why is our 3rd best outfielder in the entire organization being sent down so that tomorrow I can look at Alex Verdugo, who got the day off today? Why is that a possibility, right? That's actually probably the one thing, Jake, I can guess will happen tomorrow. We will see Alex Verdugo.
I think it's very easy. So I'll push back on this because I think it's so easy to predict what they're going to do. They already showed.
So easy, it's sad. So what do you think they're doing tomorrow?
Yeah. So if you remember, right, they went with the lefty. I think it was against the Tigers, the game they won. There was a lefty that pitched. And I think that was the one, Breesky. He opened, and he's a left-hand pitcher, I think.
Yeah, when I saw his name, I thought it was Brooks Kriske for a second. I was like, hold on a second.
No, never mind.
We got a win in the bag.
No, he was a righty. It was the White Sox, Martin. Yeah, I think it was Martin. Yeah, so Martin, no, he was a righty. Where was the, it's very simple. If I can find where the lefty was.
Well, things seem simple, but do you remember 2 days ago when we said, hey, well, I mean, it makes sense why DJ LeMahieu's in the lineup. And I said, well, why? We're facing a right-hander. Remember they said they were platooning? And you said, oh, yeah. I guess so.
Yeah, I mean,
not.
that was dumb as hell. But
so where's the logic? We're talking about platoons. Aaron Boone's talked about it before.
What about the game Trevino, that Kai Bush, right?
Kai Bush.
So it's very simple. Look at that lineup. Verdugo left field leading off.
Okay.
Soto, Judge, Stanton, Wells, okay. Torres, Chisholm, Volpe, LeMahieu. Okay. Now, think about this. Chisholm is out. He's on the IL.
Yes.
Verdugo, they love having him lead off against lefties. Like I don't really understand what they're doing there, but he leads off. So he'll lead off tomorrow. Soto, Judge, Stanton. Now, will Wells be at catcher tomorrow? Or 2 days from now? They're off tomorrow, but 2 days from now, is Wells at catcher or is that Trevino? What do you think?
Well, they're facing a righty.
They're facing a lefty.
I'm here to tell you right.
I won't even say what I want to say. Are you about to say that Trevino is going to play 3 of the 4 games he came back over Wells?
I was going to tell you if he does, put me on the watch list. What are we saying here? The fact, stop right there. Yeah. Think about it. We're sitting here actually even entertaining the conversation. And there are going to be people who are like, yeah, I can see it happening. Or you can be like, no, there's no way Austin Wells. And by the way, I think Austin Wells will play.
I do too.
I think because they just think it's getting ridiculous at this point.
Yeah.
Trevino played today because he saw a lefty. They thought Austin Wells couldn't handle those at bats. That's why he didn't play.
Well, let me chime in there, right? Because we like to do research on this show, even during the show. Okay.
We try.
We really try to not say anything that's wrong, try to give you guys stuff that maybe, hey, I haven't heard this before. This is a good take. All right. So let's take it a step back here. And this actually goes back to my point. This is a 1-0 ball game until the 9th inning. Okay.
Okay.
And I said they had 6 hits. I thought they should have scored more runs. Did I not say that? They had guys on base. So how did this result actually happen? Well, we know obviously a big reason is because the back end of the bullpen is very weak. Clay Holmes came in, blew the game. Mark Leiter Jr. came in, blew the game, right? We're aware of that. But in between those things, the Yankees were 1 for 3 with runners in scoring position. Okay. Mm-hmm. LeMahieu with his 69-mile-an-hour ground ball somehow got through and put the Yankees up 2-1 in extra. I'll take it. Yes. They grounded into double play 3 times today. Stanton, Judge, Cabrera. Okay. They left 6 on base. Okay. Trevino did nothing. Absolutely nothing today. And people will look at Wells and be like,
but why did he get an opportunity? That's the thing I don't get. Do you remember yesterday
I'm getting to that.
Go ahead. Finish it.
Because he's the right-handed bat. You just said earlier, he's the right-handed bat going up against the lefty. Mm-hmm. Gary, you know how you can tell when people are just regurgitating shit they don't know anything about?
How?
When they go on the internet and they defend Aaron Boone. Well, right there. But when they defend Aaron Boone and they say, Jose Trevino is a right-hander, of course, against the best left-hand pitcher in the league, that makes way too much sense for him to be in over Austin Wells.
What are his splits again, Jake?
So what if I told you that Austin Wells actually has a better batting average against left-handed pitching than Jose Trevino? And actually, what if I took it a step further and I used our little BAPIP, that thing that I was talking about?
Let's use it.
Against left-handed pitching. Jose Trevino's is 204. That's batting average with balls in play. Austin Wells is 310.
Now, for an organization that says they care about analytics, do you think they Do you think this decision was made because Aaron Boone doesn't know it? Do you think Aaron Boone doesn't know the numbers?
I'm not even going to. I don't even know. I hope not. But
Can I ask you a question? If you knew these numbers, is it even physically possible that you make this decision? Is it mentally possible?
I'll be honest with you. Trevino's not on the team over Carlos Narvaez if I'm in charge. But but no, there's absolutely no way possible. Wells isn't just the best catcher, okay? He is the third best hitter in this lineup, as we have, basically put out there, right?
Yep.
And the thing I don't understand is, once again, and this is why, like, when people are like, I don't know why people get on Boone so much. Like, he has 73 wins. Like, he's not that bad. He does some things I don't like, but I don't know why people get on him so much. Well, this is the type of shit as to why people get in on him, because it's like, what are you doing? Austin Wells, in the last 28 days, right? He is hitting 338. He has a 927 OPS. Why is he ever not in the lineup? His batting average, balls in play, is 387, Gary. So basically, when he puts the ball, in play, good things happen. This is honestly, he's by far the third best hitter in this lineup. You can tell me, yes, Stanton is a home run way and a half at any given moment.
100%.
But the better pure hitter right now is Austin Wells.
The better at bat is Austin Wells. And
is Austin Wells better than Judge and Soto? Absolutely not. He doesn't have to be. Of course not. He doesn't have to be. All they've been asking this year, not actually coming out and asking it, but all they have really needed was for somebody to step up, take the bull by the horns and be like, all right, yeah, I can step in here and I can definitely be that third guy. They haven't had that. Volpe did that for 2 weeks. We called him the big three. And then Volpe fell off a cliff.
Do you remember yesterday I talked about, though, I mentioned, so I asked you about Trevino. Will he play? Right? Mm-hmm. I knew he was playing today because I knew Boone was going to do something stupid. But
I knew he was.
Having said that, I wanted to get it on record. For those of you who watched yesterday's show, I wanted to make sure that you guys weren't blindsided. Now, I know most of the people who watch this show, they have an understanding that you can expect disappointment. But I'm going to say this about all of these players when it comes to utilization and what makes people so frustrated about a manager, or here in the positive side, what makes you like a manager. What makes me like a manager and makes me feel like, okay, this is the right guy for the Yankees, is if I see a system in place that you stick to, something that you do that's consistent. And I've worked for plenty businesses in my life. I've had a lot of bosses, okay? The one thing that drives you up a wall, nothing will make you more upset as someone who works for a company than having a boss go from being a cool boss and then all of a sudden someone yells at him along the way, right? And then he starts micromanaging and doing things differently when things change, right? They throw you off schedule. They start asking you to do other things they weren't doing before. There's nothing more frustrating. So I'm saying this, Jake. The Yankees just don't have a consistent way to go about their business. One day, Aaron Boone, we're applauding that he's squeezing more out of a starting pitcher. The next day, it's the third inning, and he's like, this guy doesn't have his stuff, and he brings in some dude, right, that you're just like, why is this guy coming into the game? And then they tell you, hey, we're going to have an opener. And then they go, well, we're burnt out in our bullpen. You created the problem. So it seems like you're smart enough to know what situation you're putting yourself into, but yet you're putting yourself in that situation to begin with. You're way too smart for this. And then it really hits you guys.
Third generation big leaguer. I just don't understand it.
Then it really hits you. They're not that smart.
No.
You can know baseball, play baseball. There's a reason that most of these guys who are managers in the big leagues, they all played in the big leagues. So Dave Roberts, he played in the big leagues. Dave Roberts is a great guy. He's made a lot of mistakes, specifically in October. You guys really think Dave Roberts doesn't know baseball? He knows baseball, but guess what? He's not applying what he knows correctly to be a great manager in this league. He hasn't been a great manager. So when you criticize decisions that these managers have made, you're not criticizing the person. This is sports. It's not that serious, okay? This is sports. Yeah. It's supposed to be fun. But at the same time, we are going to judge the decisions that you make, how consistent they are. I should be able to tell days ahead, when this pitcher gets to this moment, I expect him to do this. And then if I don't like those decisions, I criticize those decisions. and I talk about positively the things that he consistently does. That manager, Aaron Boone, consistently surprises us, even though we're expecting the unexpected. There's no possible way you look at the lineup today and say, yeah, the Yankees are going to be a better team if Austin Wells doesn't play. We all predicted Trevino would play because he's a righty today, despite never hitting lefties ever. And yet we're just like, okay, logic and being a baseball mind should take you to the point where Austin Wells would have been hitting today.
Well, and then get this. So, and you've brought this up before.
Mm-hmm.
The Yankees only have 2 left-handed relievers in their bullpen. Do you know why? You do. You've brought it up before. It's because of the reverse splits.
Yeah.
So clearly they're paying attention to splits for the pitching. Are they not paying attention to splits for the hitting?
And they did it for Leiter Jr. Yes.
I'm going to lose my mind saying this. Aaron Boone, like when I get on Aaron Boone for managing and things like, do you realize Austin Wells has a 111 batting average in the pinch hitting role? We just assume these guys can pick up a bat, go out and hit, haven't played all day. They're major leaguers. They can do it. Well, we know Austin Wells doesn't do a good job of it, and yet this seems to continue to happen. I don't understand.
What's Giancarlo's, by the way, off the bench? Do you remember that number?
Oh, I could probably look it up, but I think
it wasn't good, was it?
I don't even think it's 100. It's
either. So he's a James Bond double agent.
I mean, he is. Bench. Yeah, but this is what I'm talking about, is like the idea that, oh yeah, we'll just use him off the bench. And another thing I want to point out, how the hell do you pinch hit Peraza today instead of DJ LeMahieu? What are we doing? Like that infuriated me. So yes, Boone, I can't even begin to describe, like, I want to like him so bad. I really do. But he's really frustrating. By the way, Stanton 0.089 batting average when pinch hit.
And we see it. It happens. It does happen.
He looks like a train wreck.
Yeah, which is, again, not all players can perform in all different ways. Like where you just get to use them as a starter in left field, and then you just get to plug him in right field. They hit the same way as opposed to off the bench. Not all players work that way. Raul Ibanez, you bring him off the bench later in his career for whatever reason. If you started him every day, he wouldn't be great. You bring him off the bench, he's heroic for the Yankees.
By the way,
different guys have different roles. What's
Stanton, when he's in left field, hits over 300.
Yeah, it's not a surprise. Giancarlo Stanton has given us quotes. This is not me guessing, guys. This is Giancarlo telling you, yes, I've liked playing left field. Now, can we trust Giancarlo in left field? No. I think if we put him out in left field right now, his whole leg would explode. So, no. And this is no slight. Giancarlo is like my favorite player on the team. Okay, just to be clear, Giancarlo Stanton is my favorite player on the whole roster. In large part, you know why? It's because he never makes excuses, ever. Oh, and that's what I like. He's never made an excuse his entire time here in New York. He got hurt, and you think he's trying to get hurt out there? You know what he said? It's unacceptable. He's the first person that told you, I need to be available. It's disappointing. And that way, none of us fans are like, geez, is this Anthony Rendon? Does he not want to be out there? Do you really think that about Giancarlo Stanton? Of course not. He's not making excuses. That's why I've been such a fan of his. So when it comes to Giancarlo, certain ways he likes being used, certain ways just don't work. It's not that he doesn't want to hit off the bench. It's just not working. He needs to be in the game. Some guys can do that. So when you get in that situation, Austin Wells, Giancarlo Stanton, they've shown you we can't pinch hit. We're not going to do it well. So that means the 25-year-old catcher who clearly could have started today, he needs to start. Trevino off the bench, I know his numbers are better than Austin Wells. Bring his butt off the bench. It's just that simple. You play the best players, and this is why we said in our last episode, and people read the title and got mad. No, we are making a consistent vouch. You play the best players every day. And if they can't play because they're banged up, give them one day, and you wake up tomorrow morning and we say, how do you feel? And you tell me, I'm ready to go, coach. You're in there. This is what got Cal Ripken on the field every day. He said every morning, I think I can play today. And they played him. Stop trying to make this some jigsaw Sudoku puzzle. Put guys out there that are your best players. And when you go face a pitcher like Skubal, who's absolutely ridiculous this year, you have a shot in hell. We basically gave ourselves, we just chopped ourselves down at the knee and expected to walk away with a victory. Honestly, that was karma coming right for us. We didn't deserve this game.
No, and I mean, if Wells is in those spots, things probably change. He probably has different approach at the plate, all of that. Trevino, by the way, I had to look this up. He is a 300 hitter when he's pinch hitting.
Good.
So
he could have been a 225 hitter. It still would have been better. You just, like I told you yesterday, I said this. You guys can go back and watch the show. I said Trevino can have a huge hit in today's game. He still was the wrong player to play. And I knew he was going to be playing. I knew it. And even though like Wells didn't even play the game before, I just knew Trevino was going to be in there. I knew it. And
I knew it.
People look at it and say, well, in hindsight, Trevino did something today. Like if he did, they'd say, well, it was the right decision. No, it wasn't. If you had a guy who was a 320 hitter against lefties and you had Jorge Posada as your starting catcher, would you put Posada on the bench? You wouldn't. You put the best player out there and then you hope for the best. That's the way lineups work. That's the way probable pitchers work. You throw your best guy out there and you hope for the best. That's why we build rosters. We don't build rosters of good players and then find ways to put their butt, sitting next to Aaron Boone in the bench. You don't do that. So yes, is Austin Wells probably going to be healthy in October? Yes, he's probably going to be ready to go. Are the Yankees going to win the division because he played every day like he's supposed to be? No, we won't get that opportunity.
Verdugo, by the way, 279 off the bench as a pinch hitter. So they actually have him and Trevino. Those are guys that, late in October, maybe you pinch hit them, depending on how you feel out the game. I'm not saying I'm dying.
So a positive here to take away is if Dominguez is your starting outfielder at some point here by the end of the season, Alex Verdugo is a comparable bat off the bench. He's not the best starter, clearly, right? We've seen long-term numbers. They're not good.
He's actually much better when he plays center field and right field. I did just look at that.
Verdugo?
Yeah. And by the way, just thought of something kind of interesting. Guess where he was playing in the Red Sox series?
Right field.
Yep.
Oh my God.
Because this guy just like, oh crap, I'm in left field. I can't hit.
That's actually kind of crazy.
I know. I was just thinking about that. Dude, this is why I love splits. But if I can figure this out and you can figure this out, don't you kind of assume Boone can also figure this out?
Wait, so is he not allergic to his batting gloves when he plays right field as opposed to left and center? He just...
I don't know. They said for the last 3 years. That was an excuse.
Such a stupid story. I don't care.
By the way, Trent Grisham can't pinch hit to save his life.
Well, never mind.
43 at-bats. He's had 4 hits.
Oh, so he's Anthony Volpe off the bench, essentially. By the way, Anthony Volpe is 4 for his last 40 with 4 infield singles.
They called them. Well, all right. So full disclosure, and I think you probably knew this. You probably assumed this because you know me so well. With the game today, I did not watch the regular broadcast. I watched the kids' broadcast because I thought the kids did a great job. They had kids calling the game, and I would rather hear that. I would rather hear that than Eduardo Perez.
Oh, they had Eduardo Perez? Yeah, I had the game. I was watching on Stream East. So
was it muted?
I had it on mute. Yeah, it was on mute.
I think
not by choice. It was muted. So I guess Stream East just hooked it up today.
I think they knew. I think David Cohn was in the booth. So it's like, I love David Cohn. Everything 100%. He has to say, that dude is amazing. But I'm just going to say ESPN needs to shell out money to give David Cohn some other guys in the booth. Bring A-Rod
to get
in.
Michael K. They just couldn't afford him.
Yeah, bring A-Rod in. Bring Jeter. You need Harold Reynolds would be great. They should literally throw the bag at Harold Reynolds.
Yeah, I'm already canceled on Twitter, so I can't be hired by ESPN. So they're not going to be able to get me. They can't throw the bag at me either.
Before somebody was already typing like, oh, what about Gary? And you just while they're
I'll
typing,
shoot that down.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, you guys know how ESPN works. I mean, they're going to throw guys out there who've never been in trouble. I've been in trouble. I've sent mean tweets. So I don't know. So, but let's be clear. What we're asking for from the Yankees, more consistency. Just consistent decisions, whether or not they're wrong or not. Like, I'll say this, the one consistent decision that I just can't stand right now is the fact that they're 2 feet in the sand for a closer who's in a contract year who most expect to be gone at the end of this year. It would be like watching Anthony Rizzo, who most people expect to be for the Yankees to opt out of this contract, right? This is a high price contract. It would be like them watching him hit 195 this year. It's like, you don't have any, there's no long-term marriage here. So what is the obsession with Clay Holmes? I'm not saying he can't touch a mound. What I'm telling you is that the Yankees should be up 3 or losing if Holmes gets in the game. He should literally be a middle reliever. And you know what? If Clay Holmes gets it into gear as a middle reliever, I don't even move him because I've seen what he can do at closer. I'm good. Like, you could tell me all day long he's an all-star, all this stuff. Tell me what he does when it matters. That's all I'm saying. And you actually brought up the case that what's his face should be the closer, at least for now.
Tommy Kahnle.
Tommy Kahnle. And I just think right now, you just go with the hot hand. Tommy Kahnle could also wet the sheets. But you know what? Tommy Kahnle probably, if we were being honest here, has better odds to be successful right now in the 9th inning than Clay Holmes. I mean, I feel like you'd be hard pressed to find guys in our bullpen who would be worse off than what we've got right now.
No, you'd be very hard pressed. I mean, it's not great right now. I do think keep an eye on Tim Meza. He was pitching very well in AAA. It's going to be funny. He's going to end up being probably a better pickup than any of the guys that got the trade deadline. Well, obviously not counting Jazz. We love Jazz, but yeah, I gotta say though, when it comes to Kahnle, right? Because I think it's a big deal, when you're talking about a reliever and if he can actually close, how well does he do in high leverage situations? I think that's an important thing. And in high leverage situations for his career, opponents have a 210 batting average against him, 221 in medium and 205 in low. The thing about Kahnle is that I just don't think he doesn't go up and down. He really is consistent.
So you feel like the baseline there is where you want it.
Yeah, he's not the most dominant pitcher, but I don't need him to be the most dominant pitcher. He's going to miss bats. His changeup is absolutely disgusting. We watched him throw it 18 straight times, was not hit once. So that's somebody that has a pitch, a go-to pitch, like Mariano Rivera's cutter. You got to have a go-to pitch, right? That 100%. Would be his. He also has velocity. He has climbed back up there in, sort of the high 90s, mainly the higher mid 90s. We'll say like 96. 97.
I mean, that's still very good. If we knew that it would get to this point, I think we would have been satisfied. But Jake, would you have described Clay Holmes this year as average or below?
I think for the first half of the year, I think he was above average for the first half of the year. So what about the whole season? If you had to just total it up, he's been below average. I don't care what anyone says.
So if he was average, how many games difference? So if he was average, right? Average. How many more games do you think he should have closed if he was just average, not great?
Well, are you saying like take away blown saves if he's average?
Yes.
I mean, he probably has 6 blown saves. So I think you take away 4 or 5.
4 or 5.
Which means 4
how many
or 5
games
wins
would be up
for the Yankees, which would be 4 or 5 ahead of the Orioles in the AL East.
Isn't that interesting?
Not only that,
you've mentioned how important the closer is.
Yes, 4 or 5 ahead of everyone in the major leagues.
That's right.
It's funny right now, the way it's looking, there might not even be a 100-win team. Remember when I predicted 94 wins? Might be right on the freaking dot.
Yeah, I think I said 93.
It's going to be one of them. I don't think the Yankees are winning 100. They don't have to win 100. I don't think anybody's winning 100 at this point.
No, Boston also was a little better than I anticipated.
And win 100.
They might. I mean, Boston was better, though, than I expected. So I thought they would lose a little bit more. Their pitching's been a little bit better. Cutter Crawford's been the one guy I expected to get shelled, and he did. But they've gotten a lot, a little bit out of the rotation. So I felt like they needed to be awful for the Yankees to really creep into the high 90s. Remember I said, if you're going to go win 100 games, you need to beat up on a couple of teams in your division. And there's not really a ton of teams that you can beat up in our division outside of Toronto, and Toronto really just came in and beat us. And Boston, we've had problems with all year. And we just had success against Baltimore for the first time all year. So, I mean, you can't win 100 games that way. I thought in general, the division's pretty good. Not terrible, not great. But, you know, we're just a team that is incredibly flawed, and it could get better if we just chose to use our players in a different way.
I agree. I mean, I think, you know, a lot of these close losses, I think a lot of this comes back on Aaron Boone in this lineup. You have to be able to craft a lineup in a way where those situations, you have situational hitting. And yes, I think not having Wells in the lineup for the majority of the game and then pinch hitting him is almost doubling down on your ignorance, because essentially he should have been in the lineup today. And then you pinch hit him, not realizing that he can't pinch hit. I mean, you might as well play, you know, Aaron Judge or Giancarlo Stanton at third base at that point, because they can't do that. You know they can't, but you're going to do it anyway. So yeah, it's frustrating. In the pitching, we'll see what ends up happening with Cousins. I don't know, you know, if he'll end up getting an opportunity or Weaver in the closer role. Right now, I think Kahnle deserves the first shot at it. And you know, I'm not even going to address Aaron Boone saying Clay is our guy, because to be honest with you, I don't really expect Aaron Boone to say anything other than that. Aaron Boone hurts the locker room by coming out and saying, yeah, we're moving on from Clay Holmes. So I get that. I mean, at the end of the day, I say it all the time. Oh, absolutely. Because I say it all the time. These pressers mean nothing. They're just so you can fill the body of an article. And these people have to do their job as reporters, but it's just a bunch of drivel. I mean, that's really all it is.
I'm going to go the opposite way on it. I actually do.
Yes,
I actually do think the media does matter. The reason I say that is because
the media matters. I don't want to say the media doesn't matter, but
I mean, in this instance. So when you go out there in the post game, remember, I'm trying to stay consistent here. Mm-hmm. I said that Cabrera at third base, he hit a wall when Aaron Boone came out and said, yes, in the media, he's not going to be our third baseman. DJ LeMahieu's on assignment. When he's ready, he will play.
I agree with that.
And so when that happened, I thought you really just took the wind out of his sails. Now, if you thought Cabrera was a good enough player to be third base, I mean, that's up to interpretation. Did I think he was a good enough player to play third base long-term for the Yankees? I personally didn't. But having said that, it's not going to help him. You're telling him, yeah, this other player who hasn't played well in a season and a half, yeah, he's just got the role. So it just goes to show no matter what you do, it's not going to be good enough to be in the third base role for this team.
No, I get that.
Now. So having said that, I think the message that's sent, if Aaron Boone came out and said, you know what, Tommy Kahnle, we're going to give him some burn at closer. His ERA is 1.74. He's the hot hand. We have to win these games. We believe that Clay Holmes can get back to form. We trust that to win a World Series, Clay Holmes needs to be Clay Holmes.
He would never say that.
Gets back to that.
Never.
If he said that, it would be the best thing you could ever say for this organization, because what it would prove you've got to perform to be in the role. I don't give a rip what we've called you in the past. You could have been the closer in 23 all the way back to 2018. If you're not the best guy for the job, I don't care what I have to say in the media. I'm going to tell everybody, you need to perform for me to give you that job.
I mean, that's just what Chapman was there for 7 years. Who cares? You know,
right? It doesn't matter
from him. Like that longevity thing doesn't matter. It really doesn't. Unless
it's all about 2024.
Unless you are somebody who has a date in Monument Park, longevity does not matter to them. They do not care. What's the Mike Tomlin thing?
Yeah. We do not care. I send that in the comment section every once in a while. Someone will be like, I'm going to leave you guys bad messages on purpose. And I was like, I do not care. By the way, I have the best movie ever to give our audience.
You mean okay,
so if you
right?
It's really not a bad movie, but I think it's fitting for what we're trying, the message that we're sending today, which are that the best players should play. They should earn their roles. It's a message that I've sent plenty of times, but I'm sending it again. The movie, if you stuck around this long in the show, put in the comment section, Tommy Boy. Okay. Now, Tommy Boy, Chris Farley, right? Great movie. But we're saying that Tommy Kahnle should be given a shot as closer. Give him an opportunity. You see what I did there?
I see what you did there.
Give Tommy Boy a shot.
Hey, Tommy didn't, he grew up not that far away from where I currently am recording this. So
that's right.
We're all Tommy Kahnle fans in this area. So that's, you know, rooting for him, obviously, but I also think he's the best option. I mean, you know, bias aside, and that's more of a joke. I don't really put too much into my local athletic whatever. I think he's the best option. I really do. And they might not have a perfect option. They might have some guys in the minors that might be an option, but the way this team takes forever dragging their feet to call guys up, I'm not holding my breath. I think he's the best option currently. I think Jake Cousins, the cousin of Kirk Cousins, I love saying that. I think he'd be the second best. And I think Weaver would be the third. And I think one kind of interesting thing I'd like to see is if they turn one of the starters into a closer, because they got 7. So when they're fully healthy, could Poteet, could Schmidt for the time being. I'm not saying it would be a full-time thing and that, you know, but it does make me wonder if maybe that makes any sort of sense.
I have no idea. No clue.
No idea. No,
I think some of those closers that have been in the rotation right now have been so bad that, like, obviously Stroman was good today, but overall, I mean, he's been pretty hit or miss. So yeah, but at the very least, you're entertaining that anybody should be getting a look right now, given what it looks like. So, and I think that's a fair assessment.
It should be a full-on tryout.
It should be a tryout. This is a team trying to win a World Series.
You don't win a World Series with a dude at the bit for this.
He'd be you don't win a World Series with a dude who doesn't have his 2 feet in the sand as closer. He doesn't know how he's getting it out. He doesn't know what he's trying to accomplish. He's pitching to contact. It's just, it's not working right now. And when something's not working, you need to be open-minded enough to tell the world, we're willing to put the best players in every position to win. Don't just keep doing the same thing and expect something to change. That's what they're doing.
No, I agree with that. I think really anyone should get a shot except for guys that we've already seen. I mean, I'm not trying to hate on Tonkin too much. He has gotten a save before and he's looked decent, but it's like, you know, like you said a few shows ago, I mean, do you want Michael Tonkin closing out a game in the World Series?
Yeah, I'll let the comment section answer that. If you didn't put Tommy Boy, you can go ahead and answer that question. I don't. So
yeah. Hey, so anyway, put in Tommy Boy. Keep an eye on Tim Meza. That's my one player I'd say. Keep an eye on him. I'm not saying he's going to be a superstar. He's a reliever. Okay, let's be honest here. But number 58, just keep an eye on him. Guy has a 7.71 ERA and a negative 1.2 WAR. And Toronto wanted to get rid of him in a hurry. And if you look, he had a 1.52 ERA in 2023. He's a good pitcher. He had a really bad year. So we'll see what ends up happening. That's going to do it. Drop Tommy Boy in the chat if you haven't already, if you're here. And if you're a cheater, I don't know what to say to you. I'm just
do not care.
No, we do not care. Yeah, so that'll do it. Appreciate you guys. Be sure to like, subscribe, and comment. And we'll see you guys in the next episode.
And like this video.